Now let's talk about adding and subtracting fractions. So when doing a problem like this, we're going to convert the fractions to decimals by dividing on our calculator and then writing down the numbers so we can enter them in the calculator later. So the first thing we need to do is figure out what 5/8 is. So enter 5 divided by 8 equals on your calculator, and that's 0.625. So 2 and 5/8 becomes 2.625. And then we take 7 divided by 8 equals, and that's 0.875. Therefore, 3 and 7/8 becomes 3.875. Then the problem becomes 2.625 minus 3.875, which is just a simple subtraction problem. So to do that, here's a proper keystrokes. We're going to clear asterisk 2.625 plus 3.875 minus, and we're done adding and subtracting, so we hit asterisk again. And then we should get an answer of negative 1.25. Now it is possible to use memory on a problem such as that, and I actually prefer using memory for this type of problem. To do that, we would use memory to add and subtract the whole number, which would be the 2 in 2 and 5/8, and then we figure out what its fraction is, 5/8. We convert it to a decimal and then add that to memory. And since 3 and 7/8 is negative, we would do the same thing, but instead of adding to memory, we would subtract from memory. So let's do this problem this time using memory. As always, the first thing we do when we are using memory is we need to clear memory. So that's asterisk M. And we're going to start from left to right. So we're going to enter 2. And since that's a positive 2, we're going to add that to memory. So 2m plus. And then we have to take or enter 5 divided by 8 equals, and that's a positive number, so we need to hit m plus. And now the negative 3 and 7/8 is negative, obviously, so we need to subtract that from memory. So enter 3 and then m minus. And then we need to convert 7/8 to a decimal, so we enter 7 divided by 8 equals. And since that is also a negative number, we have to hit m minus. Now we're done, so to display the number that is in memory, you hit diamond M, and you should get minus 1.25 for the answer. Now we have a new type of problem. We have 12 3/4 times 54 1/2, and then divide by 55 7/8. Now remember, memory can only add and subtract numbers. So we're not going to be able to use memory for this problem. So we're going to have to manually figure out what the decimals are and write them down and then re-enter the problem. So the instructions say make sure your decimal selector is set to F for floating, and then we will manually round the answer to 4 decimals. So we have to convert each fraction to a decimal. You can probably do 2 of the fractions in your head. So 3 divided by 4 is 0.75. So 12 3/4 becomes 12.75. You might have to write that down when you're doing a problem like this on the test. 54 1/2 becomes 54.5 because 1 divided by 2 obviously is 0.5. And then we need to enter 7 divided by 8 to convert that to a decimal, and we find that 7/8 is 0.875. So 55 7/8 becomes 55.875. Now that we have the 3 numbers converted to decimals, we can do the problem as we normally would. So here's the calculator steps, but of course we have to do the part in parentheses first. So 12.75 times 54.5 equals, and then divided by 55.875 equals, and when you manually round the answer to 4 decimals, you should get 12.4362.